In this video, I will discuss about the structure of our project, this interfacing project, in which we are going to interface ENC28J60 Ethernet controller to our STM32 microcontroller. In this part, I will discuss how we will arrange the parts, how we will arrange all the files of this project. So basically, I have divided this project into two main parts. So the topmost layer is the ENC28J60 driver part. This part will contain all the core functions to control the chip, and this part is going to be independent of the hardware. So we will not use any kind of hardware dependent function in this part, and this part will be contained in two files, that is ENC28J60 and ENC2860.h, that is C file and the header file. This is the driver part, and the driver part will depend on the services of this IO abstraction layer. This is the IO abstraction layer. This IO abstraction layer will provide us the following services. It will provide us the service to read and write to the SPI port, and it will also provide us with the services of setting and clearing the IO ports which we have connected to the reset pin and the chip select pin, that is the CS pin. It will provide services to set, that means set the pin to high level or low level. By clearing, I means setting it to low level. It will provide this function to control the IO pins, CS and reset pins. So this is the only file we need to change in case we want to change anything, like if you want to switch to different SPI. Like from the very beginning, we are using SPI1 for interfacing with our ENC28J60 IC, and in the case if in future if you want to use SPI2, so you need to modify this file only. You don't need to touch any of the functions in this driver part, only this IO abstraction layer you have to rewrite. And in the other case, if you wish to change the pin connection, that means if you wish to change the IO pins which are used for this chip select signal and this reset signal, if you wish to use some different GPU IO pin, then you have to edit this file. And also in the case if you want to switch to different MCU, like from the beginning we are making this driver for STM32F0 series, so it should not be limited only to that microcontroller, that is STM32F0 series. It should be easy to change to any other family members, like very popular STM32F4 series. So we create the software in such a way that it is easy to change it to any other microcontroller just by changing this file, this IO abstraction layer file. So we are keeping all the functions that are hardware dependent inside this layer. And suppose in the future if you want to change this driver for some very different microcontroller like Atmel AVR, then only you then in that case also you just need to change this layer, these files. You in that case also you don't need to change anything here in this driver part. It will be same, exactly same. So this part, this IO abstraction layer part, we will arrange this project structure like this. We will create a folder name IO. Here you can see the folder IO. Inside this folder only we will keep this IO abstraction layer inside this folder, IO folder. And this IO folder will also be subdivided into different folders, like a folder for Atmel AVR, a folder for STM32F0 series, a folder for STM32F4 series, and any other architecture if you wish to add, you can add here. And the files which we will keep under this IO abstraction layer, these files are two files, one set for SPI and one set for GPIO. So these SPI files, these files will provide us the following services to the SPI port. They will provide us a method to initialize the SPI port and a function to read and write data to the SPI port. Only these functions this layer will provide. So as we are using SPI1, so I have named this file like this, SPI1, and this is targeting this architecture, that is STM32F0 series. That is why I have named it like this. So these two files will provide us with the SPI functions. All the SPI functions will be we will put inside these two files. And another set of files that will be present under this IO abstraction layer, these are and these are IO STM32F0 C and H file, C file and header file. These file will provide us with the function which will initialize the GPIO port. Those are connected to this CS pin and reset pin. It will initialize these two GPIO port, and this initialization will be done according to this architecture STM32F0 series. And if in the future if we will use AVR microcontroller, then initialization will be done according to the method which is followed in AVR architecture. So all those kind of functions are kept inside these files. So in the future if you want to port this driver file, so what we will do, we will create the copy of this file. So we will have these again, this set of file for different architecture. So we will also change the name. For example, if you want to port it to STM32F4 series, then we will name the files like this. We will change the file name to this STM32, no, not this, this is SPI1, that it will be like that. We will only change this to F0 to F4. And we will also change the code which will be inside these files, so that they work properly under this architecture. So all this file we will keep under this subfolder. So all these files we will keep under this folder. And suppose in the future if you want to change this to SPI2, if you want to connect our Ethernet controller not to SPI1 port but to SPI2 port, then again we will create a new set of files. This set of files again we will create, but this time as we are targeting the same microcontroller but just a different SPI port, so we will keep this file under this STM32F0 directory only, under this folder only. Here we will create the new set of files. And we will change the SPI to SPI2, so this will target SPI2 port in place of SPI1 port. And we also have to change the code which is inside it, so that it targets this SPI2 port in place of SPI1 port. In this way it will be very easy to port this driver file, so we don't have to rewrite these drivers every time. It will be easily portable to other architecture, other family members and other peripherals like to SPI2. So we are going to follow this method to keep the files arranged like this. We will keep the files. In the next video we will discuss how we will create function inside these files. And this is the IO abstraction layer, and this is the actual hardware, your ENC28J60 this Ethernet controller, and these are the pins. This is the SPI group, and this is the IO group. So this SPI group, this is connected to SI pin, SO pin, SCK pin. These are discussed in the previous video, how you have to do the connection. And these are the two GPIO pins, the chip select pin and the reset pin. So that's it. Now that I have discussed that which files we will create in our project and how we will arrange our project, so now let us open our IDE, that is STM32Cube IDE, and start creating the files. So here I have opened the project ENC28J60 dev. There are by default, when you create a new project, these folders are created: core, drivers, debug. We do not have to go inside these debug and driver folders. Only thing we have everything we have to do inside this core folder. So expand the core folder. Inside it you can see the structure. Open the source folder, that is SRC, and here create a new folder like this. So this is our ENC28J60 driver, so I will name the folder like this. This is the top level folder. This folder will contain all of our files that are related to this interfacing ENC28J60 interface. All the files will be kept under this folder. See, the folder is created here, and as I have previously discussed how we will arrange the file inside this folder also. So the first thing, we will create the IO abstraction layer. For that I will create another subfolder inside this folder, and I will call it IO. This folder will keep our all hardware related files inside this folder, and this IO folder will be subdivided into different architectures that we need. So right now I am programming it under STM32F0 series. So I will create a folder like this. Inside this IO folder I will create another subfolder and name it STM32F0, because we are targeting this microcontroller. In the future we can also create different architecture, for example for STM32F4, and we will keep the associated files under its folder. Now we are using STM32F0, so I will name it like this. Folder created. As I have previously discussed what will be the files inside this folder, this IO STM32. So we are using SPI1. This microcontroller STM32F0 series have two SPI ports, SPI1 and SPI2, but in the beginning I have discussed that we are using SPI1 for this purpose. So this file we need to create inside this. This set of files, this will provide us with the SPI function, and these files will provide us with the GPIO function. So let us create these files. STM32F0, this set of files, C and H files. New source file, and name it like this. So this file will contain all the SPI1 related functions to initialize the SPI1 port to send and receive data, and on this SPI will be implemented on the STM32F0 architecture. According to this architecture, we will also create a header file for this. Header file, the name will be same, just the extension will be different, .h in place of .c. Created. In the same way, create this second set of files that are for general purpose input output GPIO drivers. This I will name it like this: IO STM32F0.c and H. New source file, again new source file, file name .c, new header file, IO STM32F0.h. Done. Now these two set of files are created. Next I will tell you how to write codes inside these files, so that our this IO abstraction layer part is complete. Next I will discuss in detail how to write the code inside this. The code will mainly this SPI part, this will initialize the SPI port, and this will initialize the GPIO, and this will contain the functions to write and read data from SPI, and this will contain functions to control the IO ports, which are connected to the CS pin and reset pin. Now let us create the functions. So I have opened first I have opened this SPI driver file, SPI1 file, and the very first thing which we need to do is to include the include file for the HAL driver, the STM32HAL standard STM32HAL drivers, and this is the file STM32F0XX HAL.h. This is the hardware abstraction layer. This is provided by ST, and this is the standard method for programming STM32. And then we will include this is the file that we have added to our project, this one. SPI1 STM32 f0.h, and then we will create the functions, main functions. So this SPI driver will provide us with two functions, only two functions. One function, the first function is the initialization function. So it will be like this. This function, this will initialize our SPI according to the needs of ENC28J60 IC, which I have already discussed in the previous videos. This function, and the second function which helps us read and write to the SPI port. So it will be like this. Its return type is like this, UINT8T, which means an unsigned. U stand for unsigned, INT for integer, and this 8 for 8-bit integer. That means this it will return a 8-bit unsigned integer. That means a value from 0 to 255. Because all the transaction that happens over SPI is of 8 bits. That is why I have selected this as a return the return type, and the name of the function will be like this. The name of the function is like this, SPI read write, because the SPI is a full duplex port, and anytime we write any number of bytes to the SPI port, the same number of byte is also returned from the SPI port. That means it is full duplex. So if we give one byte to the SPI, it will also return one byte. So if you want to write byte, we do not want to read anything, then in that case we can discard the returned byte, and suppose if we only want to read from the SPI port, we do not want to write anything, then in this case we have to write a dummy byte. In this way SPI works. So the parameter will be like this, again the same, UINT 8T, and this will be the data which we want to send to the SPI port. Done. This file, this SPI driver will only have these two functions, and now we have to get the code for this. So when we initially when we created this STM32 project and we used our this GUI, the STM32 cube, to configure this project. In the earlier video I have shown the steps. So from the graphical user interface we have created the initialization code, and now we will copy those initialization code and put it to this file. This is the file that we have created. This in the earlier video I have used this STM32 cube, this graphical configuration tool. I have used this to configure our SPI. I have already configured, and when we generated code, it has generated the code here in our main file. Here it has generated this function, it has generated this function static void mx spi1 init. So we don't want this here in the main file, because we want to keep all our driver related file in one place inside this ENC28J60 folder, so that it is easy to add to new projects, and every time we don't have to use this graphical tool to configure SPI. It will be configure as per our need. Only once we will configure, and we will keep the code under this ENC28J60 folder, and in new project we will simply add those files. So I will go to the implementation of this function. Here is the implementation of this function. I will copy it and move it to our this files. I will copy this code. I will leave the comment and I will place it here. So I have copied the code here. This code actually initializes our SPI port according to our needs. So you can also have a look at the parameters. One thing is that this variable is not defined inside this file. It is still under this main. So we have to copy this one, this handle, SPI handle. I will remove it from here. Now it's gone. I will also remove this function, no use. In SPI initialization code, we have moved it to our folder, so we don't need it anymore in the main function, main file. I will also remove the implementation. So we'll keep this our main file very clean. I will define the handle here like this, global variable inside this SPI. Okay, so the initialization of SPI is still not complete, because this STM32 cube ID, this ID keeps some part of the code inside this MSP file. Here you will also find some function related to our SPI initialization, HAL SPI MSP init, some microcontroller related initialization. They keep it under a separate function like this. So we also need to copy this function. In this time we will copy this whole function. What actually this code does, this does some basic initialization before we can initialize the actual SPI port. So what it does is two things. It enables the clock to the SPI1 peripheral, this HAL RCC SPI. So before we can use any peripheral inside the STM32 microcontroller, first we need to enable that peripheral. So we are going to use SPI1 and the connections, that pins of that, signals of that SPI1 pin, those are available in port A, GPIO A. So we also need to enable the port A, because the signal pins, the SCK pins, the MISO pin, the MOSI pin, these are available in port A. So we have to enable two peripherals, first the SPI itself, and second the GPIO which is associated with SPI1. So these two things are happening here. So I will simply copy these things, and this SPI, this is this HAL SPI init function. You can see that it is not named like SPI1 or SPI2, it is simply SPI. So the code inside this function, it actually checks which SPI you are initializing. Since we are initializing SPI1, so this condition is placed inside this, so we don't need this condition. So I will simply copy these things and I will copy it to my SPI file. Here, just before this code, before we actually initialize the SPI, we need to do this initialization. After that only the SPI will we can initialize this SPI like this. This is the something like pre-initialization steps, these two steps, and this is the actual initialization steps, these steps. Now properly indent the code so that everything is in line. The first line, HAL RCC SPI1 clock enable, this is actually enabling our this SPI1 peripheral, and this one is enabling our GPIO A, and this code, this is setting GPIO that pin 5, 6 and 7 to alternate function, this, because we are not using them as GPIO, we are using them as alternate function, that is the SPI function. So this code is initializing these three pins, pin 5, pin 6 and pin 7. You can see this here, pin 5, pin 6, pin 7, these are now changed to SPI. They are no longer PA5, PA6, PA7, they are changed to SPI1 SCK, SPI1 MOSI MISO. This thing is done by this code. PA567, PA567, this thing. Now we will write code for these files, the iostm32f0.c. as I have previously told you that these two files are responsible for initializing and controlling these two IO pin, which are connected to the CS signal and the reset signal of the Ethernet controller. So let us open this file. This file is blank. Here also the first thing that we will do is to include the HAL, this include file stm32f0xxx hal.h, that is hardware abstraction layer. This is the standard method for programming this STM32 microcontroller. And the second include we will write like this. Done. The include part is done, and now we will add functions to this file also. So here the first function will be the initialization function that will initialize the GPIO that are connected to these two pin, CS pin and the reset pin. So the first function will be like this. This function will be responsible for initializing the GPIO. And here you can see that in our discovery board we have connected PA1, that is port A, pin 1 to the reset line, to the reset signal, and PA4 to the chip select signal. So we have to initialize these two GPIOs, that is PA1 and PA4. Both will be initialized in output mode. Okay, so let us do that. So first thing that we need to do is to enable these two GPIOs. Actually they are the part of the same port, that is port A GPIO, so only we have to enable this port A. Using this function HAL RCC, that is reset and clock control, GPIOA clock enable. Now our GPIO, that is port A, is enabled. So in STM32, this ARM based microcontroller, the first thing you need to do is to enable the peripheral, then only we can use that peripheral. So I have enabled this GPIO peripheral, and then I will write the code to initialize these two bits, that is PA1 and PA4 as output. As you may be knowing that this GPIO pin can be configured either as output or input pin. So we will, as these are output signals, so we will initialize them as output. How we will do that, that I will not cover in this tutorial, because it is assumed that the user is familiar with STM32 microcontroller, then only he or she is developing this Ethernet driver. So it is assumed that the user knows how to initialize the GPIO pins. I will simply write the code. So here I have added the code. This is the initialization structure, and this structure have few members like pin, mode, pull and speed. So for pin, which pin we want to initialize, so I have specified here pin 1 and pin 4. because pin 1 is connected to reset and pin 4 is connected to chip select. And mode, which mode this GPIO pins will be. So the mode is output, that means these pins will be used as output, and PP stands for push pull. So the drive type will be push pull drives, and we do not need any pull up registers, so we have disabled pull up. We have specified that pull is equal to GPIO underscore no pull, no pull ups are required, and speed is high frequency. And then we call this HAL function, HAL function, GPIO init, and we want to initialize port A because these are connected on port A, and we pass this structure which we have just initialized here. And so our GPIO is initialized and these two pins are configured as output, and we can switch them. So next I will show you how to write functions that will set the specific state of these two pins. Next I will show you that. And next we will write these two functions. I have added these two functions. These two functions help us control the CS pin, this CS pin. This function here, ENC28J60 CS high. This function helps us make the CS pin high, and the counterpart, this method, this function ENC28J60 CS low, this will help the ENC26J60 driver to pull this pin low. And now we will implement these functions. So look here, I have completed the implementation of these functions. So here in this function ENC28J60 CS high, this function should make the CS pin high. So here I have called the HAL function, HAL GPIO write pin, and I am writing to GPIO A because this CS is on port A, and I am writing to pin 4, GPIO pin 4, because this CS pin is connected to PA4, and I am setting the level to GPIO pin set. Set means high level. And similarly in this counterpart method, which does the opposite of this function, in this function ENC28J60 CS low, I am making the CS pin low. Here again I am using the same function, HAL GPIO write pin. Again I am writing to port A and pin number 4, and this time I am changing the state to reset. Reset means 0 level. And one important thing you need to do here is by default any pin of the microcontroller, the default state is low state, but because this CS pin, this is actually an active low pin, means the chip is selected when this CS pin is low state. So by default this GPIO pin is low state, so we have to make something here so that this by default from the starting this CS pin, its state should be high level. Okay, so we can call this function here. Before we initialize the port, before initializing, what we do, we just call this function, because by default at this point, by default all pins of the microcontroller are at low state, but we want this pin, CS pin, especially this pin, to be at high state by default. So we call this function. Done. So by default this our CS pin will be at high state, and whenever transaction begins on SPI, we pull it low. Okay, that's it. One part is done. The second part is the control of this reset pin, which is on PA1. It is also very simple. What we need to do is to just copy these two functions, and in place of this CS high I will write reset high and reset low, and inside it I will change it from pin 4 to pin 1, so that it writes to pin 1, and pin 1 PA1 is connected to reset. And from the data sheet of this ENC28J60 chip, we will try to find out the polarity of this reset signal. As you can see, there is a bar over its name. That signifies that this signal is also active low, and it is also written here active low device reset input. So this chip goes into reset mode when this reset pin is pulled low. So by default this pin should be at high state, just like the CS pin. So we will also call this function in the initialization phase, reset high, because by default this reset pin will be also at low state, but this low state will activate the reset function on the chip, our Ethernet controller chip, and it will keep the Ethernet controller chip reset, and it will not respond to our command. That is why it is important to keep the chip out of reset. For that we have to make this signal high, so that the reset is not asserted. Now we have done with the implementation of this file. That is, as you can see, this is very simple file, and we need now we need to code the header file, so that the prototypes of this function are available in this. For this, what I will do is to just copy these 5 functions, and go to my header file. Inside that I put this, and just remove the implementation and put this semicolon, so that this becomes the prototype. Like this. You can notice that I have also grouped the function. So this initialization function, it does not have any counterpart, so this is alone, and I have put a single blank line and then group this function. These two function controls the CS line, and similarly these two functions control the reset line, so I have grouped them together. So now the files are very clean and organized, and here you also have to include the HAL file. Done. Similarly, we also have to make the prototype for these SPI functions. Similarly, I will do here. Done.